Hey everybody, welcome to my tutorial. My name is Zubaz and today I'm going to show you how to do 25 things in Excel that will make you a faster, better Excel user. Alright, let's just jump in. Almost all of these things you can use in Excel 2003 through 2013, so that includes 2007 and 2010. And most of these things are just shortcuts and ways of doing things faster. Alright, so as you can see here, we have a list of a bunch of items, and let's just jump right in. First item on the list, Control C, V, X, A, S, and Z. Alright, let's go. So, most of these you can use in any type of Microsoft program, Word, Outlook, and you can even use these in lots of different places on any sort of Windows computer. So if you are on a browser or wherever. But let's just jump in. Control C, almost everyone knows this one. You can just highlight something, hit Control C, and that copies it. And now its counterpart, Control V, that is paste. So we copied this and we pasted it here. Pretty simple. Control Z, that undoes what we just did. So Control Z, we no longer have pasted what we put there. Control X, if we go back over here, highlight, hit Control X, that copies it, but it actually is a cut. So now when we go here and paste, Control V, it takes it from there and puts it over here. Alright, we're halfway through these already. Control C, copy, Control V, paste, Control X, cut, Control Z, undo, and Control S, all that does is save. Instead of having to go up here to File and hit Save, all you have to do is hit Control S. Just like that, boom, and you save. Alright, the last one I wanted to show you that I didn't was Control A. And Control A selects all. So if we're right here and we hit Control A, boom, you'll see it copies that or highlights that whole section. Or if we're down here and we hit Control A, it highlights this whole section. How about over here? Control A highlights everything in our entire spreadsheet. The reason I held back Control A for a second is there are a couple other ways to do Control A or to select all. Now I don't know why you'd ever do this, but you can hit Control Shift Space and it does the same thing. Or if you want to mouse, you can go right up here to the corner where you have this little arrow. And if you click that, it also will highlight everything at the same time. Alright everybody, we already have 2 tips done. Moving on to the next ones. Alright, we're going to do 3 together and we're going to move quickly. Wrap text, merge, and freeze cells. First one, wrap text. See right here how we have Zuba's House of Pizza in cell A1, but it drifts into this next column. If we don't want that, we can go up to the Home tab and click Wrap Text. And now it just wraps that text around to the end and makes a new line, and it fits it all in that cell. But we don't want that, so we'll hit Control Z and undo it. Next one, merge, which is right here. Let's say we want to bring these 3 cells together. So you can just highlight multiple cells, click the drop down, and we're going to do merge and center. Boom, just like that, makes those all one cell. Look at that. And the last one, freeze cells. Sometimes when you scroll down, you want to keep things at the top that you can see. So if we want to keep this section so we can always see it, just put your mouse one cell below it and then go to View and go to Freeze Panes and do Freeze Panes. Now when you scroll down, you'll see you have this here all the time. Of course, this example didn't really make much sense, but you can see how that would be useful. Alright, moving on. Just to backtrack really quick, one thing I forgot to say about wrap text. If your word is too long or your sentence or whatever is too long for your cell, all you have to do is put your mouse in the middle between 2 columns and double click and it will auto size it for you. Alright, just another side tip. So moving on, we are now up to paste, special, and transpose data. Number 6 and number 7. And after this, it starts to get a little more fun, so just hang in there. Alright, paste special. Now there are a number of ways to do this, but again, just highlight something, hit Control C to copy, go wherever you want to put it, and then if you have this, click the little drop down here, you have all these different options for pasting. So you can do just paste the values, just paste the formatting, you can see what that does, but you also have paste special. And if you click on that, you get even more options, and you can select exactly what you want, just values, just formats. You can do all sorts of things. And some of these, you can even add extra operations to them. But the one that I want to cover here is you can do paste, let's just do paste values and transpose. Now what transpose does is it takes things that are in a line this way and puts them in a line this way. So you'll see what happens when we do it, just like that. Moves everything from vertical column to horizontal. And that is number 6 and number 7. Okay, now that we've learned some pretty basic, boring features that almost everyone knows about, let's learn about some things that are a little bit more hidden. All right, here we go. Next thing on the list is copy down. And this can be used a number of different ways. So let's pretend we have just, a list of numbers here, and we want to put a formula next to that. So let's just put something basic. All right, it just has this cell plus 1. Now there are a number of ways to do this. You can see this little square in the corner. Just hover your mouse over that, and you can drag it down, and it will just copy. You can see right here. If we watch, it just copied that formula all the way down. Now if you want to do that, you can also put your mouse right there and just double click it, and it will go all the way to the bottom following the number of cells next to it. So let's see what it does. Boom, there we go. And you can also do this if you're just making a new list, like 1, 2, 3, you're like, oh man, I got to go all the way to 100. Just highlight that and start dragging. And you'll see it counts as we go down. You can just go right on down to 100. Just like that, we're all done. All right, that's one tip, and now we're going to look at 2 tips that are similar, Control F and Control H. Control F, if you hit that, it brings up this find window. And what do you want to find? Let's say you have a huge data set. Let's just pretend it's hundreds and hundreds of rows and many columns. And we want to find city bus. You can hit find next, and you will see that it takes your mouse and it highlights each cell where it is. You can also do find all if you want, and you will get a list of all of the items, and you can click on each one individually and it will move there. Now that's Control Find. Control H is replace, and they happen to be right next to each other here. But replace is very useful. Let's say you need to replace the word city bus with mass transportation. It's really easy. All I have to do is type in city bus, and this is case and character sensitive, so it has to be spelled exactly as you see down here. So you put in what you want to find, you put in what you want to replace, and do replace all. And then you'll see it replaces all of those words. All right, that's 3 more tips down. Okay, let's pretend we have this table, and for some reason we want to find all of the cells without anything in them and do something to them. Well, there's an easy way to do that. Just highlight your table, Control A, that selects all, hit F5, and that brings up the Go To window. Now, if you hit Special right here, you get this option of going to a bunch of different things. You can do last cell, you can select some formulas or constants, but we're going to do blanks. And if you select blanks, it highlights all of the blank cells. And now let's say we want to just highlight those so we know which ones are blank. Just like that, we're done. All right, next thing on the list, Control and your mouse wheel. Sometimes people make the view really weird, and let's say you want to just zoom in and out quick, just hold down Control and just scroll with your mouse wheel. All you have to do is roll it, and you can see down here in the bottom right, watch the percent. It goes really small to really big, and it's a super fast way to zoom in and out. Control Shift L. What does that do? That just filters our data. Control-Shift-L. There we go. Super fast way to do it instead of going up here to find it. I have mine right here, but sometimes people have trouble finding it and they're going through all these different tabs. Control-Shift-L, you're done. The next four are the most important because you will use them the most out of all 25 tips that we have. I use them pretty much every single day. And 2 of them use Control and 2 of them use Alt. All right, here we go. We have Control and the arrow keys. It's the fastest, quickest way to move around your document. So you can see I have B15. That's where I'm at right now. If you hit Control right, it takes you, Control right arrow key, it takes you to the end of continuous data. So you can see how it didn't go into P15 because there's a break in the data there. But we can go back with the left arrow key, we can go down, and you can quickly navigate through your document this way. You can get all the way down to 1,000,000 if you need to go down there. And you can just quickly move through things. So let's pretend we have this big list of data and you want to get to the end. You're like, I don't know where the end is. Control right arrow key, there you go. Now you can go right to the bottom. You can quickly move around it wherever you need to go. Very similar to that is Control Shift and the arrow keys, but it's even more useful because what it does is it highlights all of the cells in between the start and the end. So that was Control Shift down. So we can go back up, Control Shift to the right, and you can combine 2 of these together. So Control Shift down, Control Shift right. Just keep holding down Control and Shift, and now we highlighted all of that. Now what we learned before, you can see how this would be really useful. So Control Shift down to the right, Control C, let's go back up, go down, Control V, paste. I mean, you can see how you can get a lot done really quick doing that. Next on the list, we have Alt Enter. And Alt Enter is interesting because depending on when it's used, it does different things. The first thing we're going to learn about Alt Enter is that it can get you to the second or third or fourth or so on line in a single cell. I'll explain. So let's say we want to put a list of things in cell F5. Normally you'd put in your 1 and you'd type something here and you would hit enter because you want to go to the next line, but it takes you to the next cell. That doesn't really help us. So let's go back. Now if you just hit Alt Enter, it takes you to the second line in that, and you can do something else. You can hit Alt Enter again and put 3. Now if you hit enter, you'll see you have 1, 2, 3. If you wanted to size that out a little bit, you can do it like that, and now you'll see how that becomes really useful. Alt Enter can also be used kind of as a repeat last command button. So let's pretend we wanted to put some, I don't know, we wanted to just put some borders around things. And you put a thick border around that, and you wanted to do that somewhere else. All you have to do is just go somewhere else and hit Alt Enter, and you will see that it puts the same border there. Here, let's make it a little more apparent. Let's highlight all this and make it a color. Now you want to do that somewhere else, Alt Enter, boom, there you go. And you can just keep on going and keep doing the same action over and over. The next 2 tips are slightly different because they are not worksheet tips, but they are Excel tips. All right, let's go up here to File, and then you can go from File down to Options. And one thing that I've noticed a lot of people always have the default 3 sheets down here at the bottom. If you don't want to start with 3, if you want to just start with 1, 2, or for some reason 40, you can just put that number here and hit OK. And it will always, every new workbook will start with that many sheets when you open it up. Next tip, this little section right here is called the ribbon, and you can right click anywhere on it and do customize the ribbon. And like you can see, my home tab probably doesn't look like yours because it's customized. All you have to do is do a new tab over here, and just you can rename it anything you want. And you can move different things in by hitting add and move it into that section. And you can just keep putting in whatever you want in there. There are also other drop downs if you want to find, all of the different commands. There are hundreds of different things that you can get to in here that might not be easily accessible otherwise. If you just need to quickly find the sum or the count of something, all you have to do is highlight a section and go down here to the bottom, and you will see the average, the count, and the sum. Now this varies a little bit from different with older versions of Excel, but you should have something down here. And if you don't believe it, we could still do a sum if we needed to of this section, and then you'll see it's 239. So just highlighting it, you'll see 239. And similar to that, if you need to insert rows or columns, most people know that you can highlight a column, right click, do insert, and you can do it again, and so on and so on. But what if you wanted to add a bunch at a time? Like let's say here's a row and here's another row. And in between there, we wanted to add, say, 7 rows. Well, you'd have to go here, do insert, and then do it again. Of course, you could use Alt-Enter as well, which we already talked about. But that's still a little slow. Like let's pretend we needed to add 30. All you have to do is highlight a large section and then do insert, and you'll see it moves it all over very nicely. So if we did need to do 40, you can see as you're scrolling over, we have our count 38, 37C, 38C, 39, 40. That means 40 columns, insert, and now if we go over, you'll see our text way over here. Okay, moving on. Now we're getting to a slightly more complicated tip, but still pretty basic overall. Okay, let's say we have a list of names. We have 2 columns, last name, first name. And for some reason, we just need to know the number of last names. Let's say we're going to print out name tags and we need to know how many we should, I don't know, get on a page or something. There's an easy way to just remove the duplicates from this list. All you have to do is go up to your Data tab and hit that and go to Remove Duplicates. And once you have it highlighted, it will give you 2 options. Do you want to remove duplicates from column A or column B? Well, we just want the last name, so we'll uncheck B and we'll hit OK. And then Excel will give you this little dialog box that says 13 duplicate values found and removed, 8 remain. All right, that's all we need to know. Now, over here in columns G and H, we have info broken down by sessions. So we have the morning session and the afternoon one. And let's say we wanted to find out, did everyone who attended the morning session attend the afternoon one? Now we can go up to our Home tab and do conditional formatting, and we want to highlight duplicate values. So we'll just hit that, and you get different options you can pick here. It doesn't really matter, it's just based on color preference really. But just hit OK, and now you will see that we have Harris and Williams here. But what this is telling us is that Harris and Williams both attended in the afternoon, but they did not in the morning. It's saying they're only in this column. Next tip, using the Alt button to get to the ribbon. So what does that mean? Okay, let's just pretend we have this section highlighted and we want to, do something to it as far as formatting or, changing its properties somehow. Well, instead of going up here, which in this case it probably wouldn't make sense just to go up here, and if we wanted to center it, do that. But let's say we wanted to center it without using our mouse. We could hit Alt, and you see how it brings up these numbers and letters. So if you hit Alt and then you hit H, it will take you to the Home tab, and it gives you more options. And now, if you do one of these, it will perform that button. So we can see right here, right underneath Center, AC is center. So now if we hit AC on our keyboard, it did that for us. And if you memorize a few of these for things you use frequently, you can just hit Alt H A C, and you can do it just about as fast as you would go up here to find it and click it. So that's the Alt button. Next thing on our list is called leading zeros. And that doesn't really make much sense just by hearing it, but let's go over here to our Random Data tab. Let's pretend you have all of this information and you have a boss who's annoying and he wants all of these numbers to have six values. Well, sometimes Excel is just a pain about having leading zeros stay on there, especially once you start copying and pasting and all that. So one thing you can do is use the text option, and let's see how that works. So if you do equals, and then you start typing in text, you'll see it comes up with that formula. And if we use text, I just hit tab to finish filling it out. We can use text, and we'll do cell C2, and now we'll do a comma, and we'll put quotes, and we'll put 6 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll close that out. Now we can see we have 6 values there. And we could just drag this down to do the rest of this, and really we could just drag it out. And that's pretty good. But there's one little problem here. Now if we click in one of these cells, we don't actually have 009318. We have equals text C3, and then it's telling us how many values. So if we wanted to get this back to a number, and again, Excel is actually going to treat this as a text cell, but we could copy it, and now just right over top of it, paste the values only. And now you'll see when you click in there, look at what we have. We have a useful number, and we could, if we wanted to, just Ctrl X that and put it up here. And look at that, we have our numbers with 6 digits instead of 4, or in this case 2, and so on. Alright, we are almost to the end. We are going to learn about the name manager. Now there are a number of ways to get there. The fastest way is probably to hit Ctrl F3, and that will bring up our name manager. If you prefer to know where it's located, you can go to the Formulas tab, and you'll see the button right here. If you click on that, that brings up our name manager. There's nothing in here right now because we haven't named any ranges. One way to do it is to hit New and type in some name for a range, and then you can click this and highlight whatever section you want to and hit OK, and now it named it. But that's, kind of cumbersome and slow. The way I prefer to name a range is just to highlight your range and then go to this box. It happens to be called the name box, and just type in what you want to call your range and hit enter. So now we can reference that anytime we want, or you can just click here and highlight it, and it quickly selects that whole range. And you're like, well, that's nice, but what good does that do me? Well, you can use it a number of different ways. Let's say we just want to, let's say we have a huge list of numbers. Let's just drag these down. Okay, so we have 62 numbers. We could actually just name that, and let's just make it num for numbers. And now if we want to do something with that, we could say equals num, and you'll see right there we have our little named range. And if you hit tab, now it highlights all of that, and we could say, I don't know, multiply it by 10. And it did the first line. Now if we just click down, it does it all the way down. Now you could name this section, let's name it num2. Now we have numbers 2 and we have numbers 1. You can see they're both in here. Num2. And you could put them together in a formula. Equals num minus num2. And now you get what you would expect. You get minus 9 because 1 minus 10 is minus 9. But you can see how that could be very useful if you have a ton of data and you want to name certain sections and do something with it, or if you just want to have something, some part of your selection easily able to easily highlight it, you can just do that. And now you can go from one to the next and just keep moving. Alright everybody, that's all I have for now. I think I'll save VLOOKUPs and pivot tables for another time. Thanks for watching my tutorial, and hopefully you learned something. Have a great day.